There's something I want to talk about today that comes up all the time when I'm working with couples or just an individual who's in a relationship. And that is this. I hear the language a lot. My partner's not pulling their weight. You know, they need to take this thing off my plate. They have to do their fair share. You know, that's a common sort of thing going on in relationships. And what the problem there is that when you are with someone, especially if you live together, and forget if you have kids or any other like kind of major things going on, you have to remember that you're a shared battery. You are a shared resource. So when you give something to you, if you're like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I have all this stuff going on, I can't do it. And so that means my partner has to do it. What is happening is that you are draining your battery when you do that, because it's a shared battery. So if you have too many jobs in the couple and you are just trying to like, I need to do it, you need to do it, if that's the only place it goes, it's draining the entire battery. And you know this because when you do this stuff, when you have these conversations about fairness and about you need to do this, and you have to pull your weight, and you have to take this off my plate, that you guys get into it. This isn't a happy conversation. This isn't a conversation where everyone's like, oh, you're right, I'm so sorry. You know, like, I mean, maybe occasionally, but that's pretty rare. Mostly your partner is also overwhelmed in their life. That's why they're not taking out the trash on time or picking up your dry cleaning or whatever you might have asked them to do. And so what we end up with is two people who are completely drained and overwhelmed. And I want to say very clearly that everyone has a different bandwidth for what they can get done. Now, I'm not talking about, weaponized incompetence here. I'm not talking about toxic masculinity or any of that other stuff. I get that there's all these other pieces that play into this, but I want you to have this as your base, this idea that you don't just right away go to the other person like this has to get done. And or that they do have a job and you don't like how they did it. They didn't do it good enough. They didn't spend enough time on it or something because it's not at your standard. So that's what I see the most, and that's what causes a lot of misery. What I want to tell you, again, so if you think of it as a shared plate, instead what you want to do is either add resources from outside the couple or take things off the collective plate. And these are very hard things to do because we get caught up in our lives and we think something has to happen. It just has to. It's got to happen, Abby. And I will tell you because, I had little kids once. I had to go through all this. I had to go through, living with men, and being married. It's a thing where you have to really think it through. You've got to think, well, I get we have all this stuff, but do we really have to do everything? Does the kitchen counter have to be clean to this level? Do the dishes have to be put away at night? And if they do, then what can we do if this is never happening with my partner? Or I shouldn't say never. It usually happens sometimes. If it's not happening consistently or in the way that you need, then you got to look outside the couple to bring a resource in. So that could be that you're, paying for a cleaning person, or I have people I work with who have actually hired someone just to come in the morning to help with getting the kids off to school. I mean, you'd be amazed. And let's say you don't have money. You're like, well, Abby, I'm not rich. Okay. So, hey, mother I never speak to whose kids also go to this school, could we carpool? And so that you bring them Monday, Wednesday, and I bring the kids Tuesday, Thursday, and right away, now I've just freed up 2 mornings. Do you know what I've just freed up that time in the morning. There are ways to barter. There's ways to ask people for help for especially short amount of time. But my biggest thing there is to take something off the plate. Get over the perfection. Oh, my kids have to be in, all these different activities, or if you don't have kids, or our house has to look a certain way, or we need this way. And get over being right and get, I always say, do you want to be correct or effective? Get past that of what should happen, what's fair, this needs to, and instead adopt this new mindset where we're a shared resource. And maybe my partner can't get as much done as I do. I see that a lot. Their bandwidth for juggling and getting all these things, they can't quite do it. So what does that mean? I could keep hitting my head against this wall. I could stay angry at them. I could be miserable, or we could try to figure out some alternatives. And again, that usually means adding resources from outside the couple, or you can do both, and or taking things off the collective plate. Hope that helps.